I swear, if that smug bastard had said one more word, I would have rearranged his smile into something abstract enough for a Picasso exhibit. We were at a dinner I didn't even want. My wife had asked me to meet her for a serious talk. I thought maybe, just maybe, she was ready to work on us. Turns out, the joke was on me. He was already seated when I arrived. Tight black shirt, perfect hair, and the kind of smirk that made you want to order a brick with your steak just to hurl it at him. His name was Chase Donovan, her colleague. And there was Ashley, my wife, sitting next to him with her hand way too close to his thigh, laughing at his dumb jokes like he'd just reinvented comedy. "Logan," she said sweetly, motioning me to sit. "This is Chase. You've heard me mention him from work." Yeah, I'd heard. Too often. The mentor. The inspiration. The guy who just gets me. I should have known. I sat, forced a polite smile, but my fists clenched under the table. Then Chase leaned in, eyes locked on mine like it was some duel at high noon. "I'll make this simple," he said, smooth as oil. "You've got two options. Leave quietly, or face me like a man." Ashley didn't flinch. She smiled. That was the worst part. She smiled. My ears rang, blood pounding in my head. I repeated the words in my mind. Leave quietly, or face me like a man. He really thought I'd crawl, that I'd just nod, walk out, and let him play house with my wife. I took a slow breath, looked him dead in the eyes, and whispered, "You want your teeth whole, or in pieces?" That's when everything went loud. Chairs scraping, plates shattering, people gasping. Ashley shrieked, "Logan, stop. You're embarrassing me." Embarrassing her. After she marched me into this ambush to watch me get humiliated. I didn't rage. I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I just walked out into the night with one thought carved into my chest like stone. This wasn't over. When I got home, the house didn't feel like mine anymore. Same walls, same furniture, same smell of her perfume drifting down the hallway. But it was like someone had moved the furniture around in my soul. Something was off, rearranged. The bed was made perfectly tight, corners tucked like a hotel. Ashley never made the bed like that. She'd leave pillows on the floor, blankets half dangling, said it was just going to get messy again. But that night, it looked like a maid had done it. Not her. I sat on the edge, hands still raw from punching Chase, mind buzzing like a hornet nest. My phone lit up. A message from her. "You didn't have to do that. You embarrassed yourself." Not, "Are you okay?" Not, "We need to talk." Just blame. Cold. Calculated. That's when the switch flipped. I wasn't suspicious anymore, I knew. But I needed the truth in my hands. I started in her closet. The usual mess of heels, boots, and gym shoes, except for one pair I'd never seen before. Red. Expensive. Ashley hadn't worn heels in months around me. Next stop, her vanity. Her tablet sat there, screen dark. She never locked it. Thought I trusted her too much to bother. She was wrong. The first photo I saw made my chest cave in. Ashley, barely dressed, mirror selfie in a hotel room I didn't recognize. Date stamped last weekend. She'd told me she was at her friend Lacey's baby shower in Sacramento. Another swipe. Chase, shirtless, brushing his teeth in the background. I swallowed the fire in my throat. Swiped again. Videos. Voice notes. Him calling her my little secret. Her giggling like a schoolgirl. And then one line that burned itself into me forever. "He still thinks we're just going through a rough patch." Poor baby. Poor baby. That's what I was to her. A fool with a mortgage and a wedding band. Suddenly, everything made sense. The late meetings, the girls' nights, the sudden interest in Pilates after years of mocking yoga pants. She hadn't fallen out of love. She had simply traded up for something shinier, dumber, and louder. The next morning, she strolled in like nothing happened. Coffee in one hand, scrolling her phone with the other, humming a tune like life was just peachy. "What?" she asked when she caught me staring at her. I didn't answer. I just slid the tablet across the table, screen open to her messages. Her fingers froze. Her face paled. Then she looked up at me and said the one thing that proved everything. "Why were you snooping through my stuff?" Not denial. Not apology. Not even surprise. Just deflection. I leaned forward, steady voice, steady hands. "You lied to me. You gaslit me. You humiliated me in public. And you brought him into our lives." She crossed her arms, smirked. "You're being dramatic, Logan. You always are." And just like that, I smiled. Because in that moment, I realized something she never would. She was playing checkers, and I was already setting up chess. After that little breakfast showdown, I stopped talking to her. Not the dramatic, silent treatment nonsense she always accused me of when I didn't rise to her bait. No, this was precision silence. I was gathering, storing, cataloging. See, Ashley thought I was a man who ignored details. Maybe I didn't notice when she bought a new dress. Maybe I didn't care that she dyed her hair lighter. But patterns? I noticed patterns. And her patterns were screaming. Every Wednesday, late meeting. Every Friday, girls' night. Every other Sunday, she claimed she was visiting her mother, who mysteriously never mentioned these visits when I called. So I did what any boring, predictable husband would do. I checked the receipts. Hotel charges. Gas station fill-ups in neighborhoods she never had business in. I even synced her phone to the family iPad, something she never noticed because she thought tech was just chargers and Instagram filters. One message burned in my mind. Can't wait to see you outside the sheets for once LOL. A reply from Chase, with a photo of him shirtless in a hotel bathroom mirror. Wallpaper I recognized. The Burstone. Same place she told me was hosting her team-building retreats. I didn't rage. I didn't even flinch. I saved the messages into a folder labeled June Justice. Copied them 3 times. Flash drive, cloud, encrypted backup. Slowness isn't weakness. It's precision. That night, she slithered up in her silk robe, putting on that fake smile she used when she wanted to play loving wife. You didn't say goodnight, she said softly. I figured you were tired of touching me. I answered, smiling. She blinked, paused, then smirked again. You're being dramatic. I nodded. Sure. But see, men like me, we don't ask for second chances. We ask for evidence. Her brow furrowed. She didn't get it. That was fine. She didn't need to. Not yet. Later, when the house was quiet and she was snoring beside me, I slipped out of bed and into my office. Pulled out the small oak box I had carved years ago, originally meant for cufflinks. Smooth edges, brass hinges. Empty. For now. I opened it, placed the flash drive inside, and shut it carefully. Then I whispered to no one. Every queen thinks she runs the board, until she realizes the king has been moving in silence. I'll tell you something about silence. It makes people nervous. Ashley didn't know what to do with mine. She was used to me arguing back, trying to patch things up, playing the dutiful husband with one more apology in the tank. But now, I went about my days like a man who already knew the ending of the book. Calm, collected. That rattled her more than any shouting match ever could. The first crack in her armor showed up on a Thursday evening. She walked into the kitchen, hair perfectly styled, heels clicking against the tile, perfume thick enough to suffocate a horse. Big client dinner, she said, tossing her bag onto the counter like she owned the house. I didn't look up from the paper I was reading. Where at? She hesitated, just a blink too long. You know, Burstone. They like the ambience there. Burstone. Again. The word tasted bitter, but I kept my face still. Don't stay out too late, I murmured, flipping the page. She studied me, waiting for me to ask more questions, waiting for me to trip into the trap of jealousy. When I didn't, she frowned. You don't even care, do you? I finally set the paper down, met her eyes, and smiled. Careful, Ash. Sometimes indifference is just a mask for preparation. Her lips parted, but no words came. She grabbed her bag and stormed out, heels clicking like gunshots down the hall. The oak box grew heavier with each passing week. Bank statements, screenshots, emails from her friend Celeste bragging about wild weekends. I had it all. Organized, dated, cross-referenced like a prosecutor preparing for trial. Still, evidence was only half the battle. Timing was the other half. You don't dismantle a house by knocking down random walls. You start at the foundation. And Ashley's foundation was image. She thrived on appearances, Instagram smiles, PDA speeches, polished nails, and polished lies. In public, she was the perfect realtor wife, networking with a glass of wine and a laugh that sounded just authentic enough to fool strangers. She needed the world to adore her, which meant my revenge wouldn't just be private. It would be surgical, public, and devastating. The second crack appeared the following Sunday. She came back from yoga class, wearing new leggings and a guilty flush that no downward dog had ever produced. I was in the garage, wiping grease from my hands after tuning up the lawnmower. You've been quiet lately, she said cautiously. I shrugged. Just focused. On what? Patterns. Her brows knit together. Patterns. I looked up, smiled. You'd be surprised what you notice when you stop pretending not to. That smile slipped right off her face. She muttered something about needing a shower and vanished inside. I watched her through the window as she stomped upstairs. That was the moment I knew. She was starting to realize she was being hunted. Around this time, Chase decided he was bold enough to send me a message directly. Not to my face, of course. Cowards rarely do that. It came in the form of a mistaken email forwarded to my work address. A photo of Ashley, red heels on, blowing a kiss at the camera. The subject line read, "Can't wait till he's gone." I laughed when I saw it. Not the bitter kind, either. A real laugh. Because that told me exactly how desperate they were. Desperate enough to poke the bear, thinking I'd growl instead of smile. I didn't respond. I didn't mention it to Ashley. I just printed it, slipped it into the oak box, and whispered, "Thank you, Chase." The third crack came quicker than I expected. She cornered me one night in the kitchen, wine glass in hand, cheeks flushed from drinking too much too fast. "Why aren't you fighting for me?" she snapped. I raised an eyebrow. Why would I fight for something that doesn't want to be kept? Her jaw tightened. "You think you're so clever, don't you? Sitting there with your smug little silence." Clever? No. Patient? Absolutely. She slammed the glass on the counter, red wine splashing across the marble. "God, you're impossible. No wonder Chase actually listens to me." There it was. She didn't even realize she'd said his name. I tilted my head. "Chase, huh?" Her hand flew to her mouth, but the damage was done. I didn't smirk. I didn't gloat. I just picked up the glass, rinsed it out, and handed it back to her. "Thanks for the confirmation," I said softly. She stared at me, pale and wide-eyed, like I'd just told her the ending of a story she thought she controlled. That night, when she finally collapsed into bed, muttering excuses in her sleep, I sat in my office again. The oak box waited, heavy and full. I added the printed email. I added a written note. Her own words. "No wonder Chase listens to me." Evidence isn't just proof, it's narrative. And I was building a story so airtight it would choke her. Then I started phase 2, allies. Her boss received an anonymous packet a week later. Nothing damning, just enough screenshots of her client dinners to make him suspicious. Her best friend Celeste got another packet, this one with receipts and photos, along with a polite note. "Some friend you've got there." The beauty of seeds is that they grow in silence. I didn't have to do anything more. Just sit back and watch the cracks widen as whispers replaced laughter. Ashley noticed the shift almost immediately. Invitations slowed. Phone calls went unanswered. She scrolled through Instagram one night, frowning at all the brunch photos she wasn't tagged in. "What's wrong?" I asked innocently. "Nothing," she snapped. But her eyes were wet. I nodded, returned to my book, and let her stew. By the end of the month, the cracks had become chasms. She paced the kitchen late at night, phone buzzing with Chase's increasingly needy texts. Her voice shook when she answered calls. One evening, she tried again. "Logan, we can fix this. Just let's talk." I looked at her for a long moment, then smiled. "You don't fix rot, Ashley. You replace it." She froze, like she'd been slapped. But I wasn't finished. "And when you do replace it, you don't cry over the old wood. You just burn it." Her face twisted, but she said nothing. She knew. Deep down, she knew her end was already being written, and I was the one holding the pen. When I finally turned off the lights that night, the oak box sat on my desk, gleaming in the glow of the lamp. Inside, the evidence waited patiently. Empty once, full now. And soon, it would be her coffin, not of wood and nails, but of her own words, her own lies, her own patterns. I closed the lid, whispered, "Checkmate," and went to bed. You ever watch a spider catch a fly? It doesn't lunge right away. No. First it lets the fly think it's free. Lets it buzz around, bump into silk, pull against threads. And only when the fly tires itself out does the spider move in. That's where I was with Ashley. She thought she was still running the show. That I was sulking in the background, licking wounds. Meanwhile, I had the oak box nearly overflowing and a patience clock she didn't even know existed. The first real fracture came on a Tuesday morning. She came down the stairs in her robe, hair tangled, face blotchy from crying. I was buttering toast. "Logan," she croaked, voice raw. "Something's going on." I looked up, calm as you like. "What do you mean?" My boss pulled me off the Ridge Hill account. Just suddenly. No explanation. I raised my eyebrows. "Strange." That was your favorite client, wasn't it? Her eyes narrowed, searching my face for a tell. I gave her nothing. Just another bite of toast. By Friday, her phone calls were frantic whispers behind closed doors. I'd walk past the room and hear, "No, I don't know how they found out. I swear I didn't tell anyone. Chase, calm down." And then silence when I opened the door. She'd glare at me, clutching her phone like it was a lifeline. "Privacy, Logan." I'd smile, nod, and reply, "Of course. Wouldn't want anyone snooping." Her cheeks flushed every time I said that. The second blow landed a week later. She came storming into the garage, waving her phone like a weapon. "You sent those pictures, didn't you?" I leaned against the workbench, wiping grease from my hands. "What pictures?" "Don't play dumb," she snapped. "Someone emailed Chase's wife a folder of us at the birthstone. Screenshots, receipts, everything." She kicked him out. "Do you know what this means for me?" I let the rag drop slowly, met her eyes, and said, "I imagine it means he'll have more time for you now. Isn't that what you wanted?" Her face went white. She stumbled back a step, clutching the phone tighter. You wouldn't." I shrugged. "Wouldn't what?" "The beauty of guilt is that it doesn't need proof." She filled in the blanks herself. Chase started unraveling before she did. His texts grew longer, angrier. "You need to fix this. Why aren't you answering me? My kids hate me now. This is your fault." One night, she sat at the kitchen table, head in her hands, muttering, "God, Chase, just shut up for once." I set down my glass of water beside her. "Problems at work?" She shot me a look that could kill. "Don't you dare." I smiled, sat down across from her, and folded my hands. "Ashley, you always thought silence meant weakness. But silence is the sound of someone loading the final bullet." She pushed back from the table, chair screeching. "You're sick." "No." I corrected her softly. "I'm thorough." By the end of the month, the social fallout was complete. Invitations vanished. Friends she used to gossip with at brunch now crossed the street to avoid her. Celeste, her realtor confidant, stopped answering her calls. Even her mother seemed distant on the phone. "Everyone's turning against me," she whispered one night, pacing the bedroom while I read. "I don't understand it." I turned a page. "Maybe they're just noticing patterns too." She froze mid-step. Her eyes darted to me. She wanted to ask what I meant, but she was too afraid of the answer. And then came the cherry on top, Chase himself. He showed up at our front door on a Saturday evening, drunk and sloppy, pounding on the wood like a debt collector. "Open up, Ashley. We need to talk." She panicked, whisper screaming, "Logan, don't open it." I strolled calmly to the door, opened it wide, and there he stood, tie undone, shirt wrinkled, eyes wild. "You ruined my life," he shouted, pointing at me. I tilted my head. "Funny. I thought you managed that just fine on your own." Ashley darted forward, grabbing his arm. "Chase, stop. Please, you're making it worse." He shook her off. "He's been behind this. I know it. He sent everything. You don't get it. Ashley, he's going to bury you too." I smiled faintly. "Smart man." Chase's face twisted, rage boiling over. He lunged, but I didn't move. Ashley yanked him back, screaming at him to leave. Neighbors peeked out from across the street, phones already out, recording. Finally, she shoved him down the steps, and he stumbled off into the night, yelling her name like a broken record. When she shut the door, she leaned against it, trembling. They'll think I'm. "Careful," I interrupted. "If you say the word, it becomes real." She looked at me, fear plain on her face for the first time since this all began. After that, the house became a coffin for her. She wandered from room to room, restless, chain smoking on the porch, jumping every time her phone buzzed. I stayed calm, ate my meals, went to work, smiled. Every so often, she'd snap at me. "How can you be so calm when everything's falling apart?" I'd sip my coffee, meet her eyes, and say, "Because I built the collapse, Ashley." That line haunted her. I could see it every time she glanced at me. She started sleeping in the guest room. She stopped cooking. She lost weight. Her nails chipped. The polish flaked. The Instagram queen of Ridge Hill was crumbling, and I hadn't even raised my voice. The oak box was full now, heavy with receipts, screenshots, and her own words. Every piece of evidence a brick in the wall I'd built around her. I'd open it at night, run my fingers across the polished wood, and think, not yet. Not until she breaks herself trying to hold on. Because revenge isn't just about striking. It's about timing. And Ashley? She was almost at the point where she'd beg me to strike, just so it would end. And when that day came, when she finally broke, I'd be ready. The king doesn't move often. But when he does, the game is over. If destruction has a soundtrack, it's quiet. Not explosions, not screams, just the muffled thud of someone realizing too late that the ground under their feet isn't solid anymore. That's what Ashley sounded like now. Quiet, jittery, desperate. The woman who once strutted into rooms with heels that announced her like a drum line was now pacing barefoot across the kitchen tile, whispering into her phone at 2 in the morning, biting her nails until they bled. I'd watch from the doorway, leaning on the frame like a man admiring his work. Because make no mistake, this was work. Patience is labor. Silence is labor. Revenge is the most exhausting job you'll ever love. She tried to fight back in the way only someone arrogant and cornered can. One morning, she slammed her laptop shut and glared at me. "You've poisoned everyone against me, haven't you?" I stirred my coffee. "Everyone. Don't play dumb, Logan. My boss won't return my emails. Celeste won't talk to me. Even my own mother is distant now. You're behind it." I sipped. Or maybe they just noticed patterns. That word again, patterns. She hated it. She clenched her fists, shaking her head like a child denied candy. "You think you're so clever," she hissed. "But you're pathetic. You'll never leave me. You need me. Without me, you're nothing." I set the mug down, leaned forward, and said it softly enough that she had to lean in to hear. "Without you, I'm free." Her lip trembled. She tried to speak, but the words got stuck. For the first time in years, Ashley didn't have a comeback. By the following week, she shifted strategies. Gone was the venom. Now came the syrup. She tried cooking dinner again, lighting candles, wearing that robe she used to lure me in the early days. "Logan," she purred one evening, setting a plate in front of me. "We can fix this. Whatever you think you know, it's not what it looks like." I cut into the steak, chewed slowly, then smiled. "You're right. It's not what it looks like. It's worse." Her face cracked like porcelain dropped on tile. She sat down across from me, shoulders slumped. "Then what do you want?" she whispered. I dabbed my mouth with a napkin. "For you to realize you've already lost." She didn't give up right away. People like Ashley never do. She doubled down on the charm offensive. Morning coffee in bed. Sweet texts during the day. A smile plastered on her face so hard it looked painful. But the cracks showed. I'd catch her staring at the oak box on my desk, eyes narrowed like she could will it open with sheer panic. She never asked about it, didn't dare. But I knew she wondered. Knew it kept her up at night. One evening, as I was brushing my teeth, she appeared in the doorway. "What's in that box?" I spat, rinsed, met her gaze in the mirror. "The truth." She blinked. "What truth?" "The kind that ends games." She didn't ask again. The beauty of revenge is in layering. You don't drop the hammer all at once. You let small weights accumulate until the person cracks under them. And Ashley? She was cracking. I'd hear her sobbing in the guest room at night. She'd take long drives with no destination, returning hours later with red eyes and excuses about needing air. Even her Instagram went quiet. No more smiling selfies, no more brunch photos. Her perfect life was bleeding out, and no filter could save it. Still, she tried one last play. It was a Saturday afternoon. I was in the garage tightening bolts on the mower when she marched in, makeup done, hair curled, looking almost like the Ashley I married. Except her eyes were hollow. "Logan," she said firmly, "we need to stop this. We need to go to counseling, start fresh. You're still my husband. We can fix this if you just let go of." I set the wrench down slowly, wiped my hands, and walked toward her. She shrank back a little, but I didn't raise my voice. Didn't even look angry. "You don't get it," I said quietly. "This isn't about fixing. This isn't about marriage. This is about balance. You tipped the scales. I'm just setting them straight." She shook her head violently, curls bouncing. "No, no, no. You can't just throw away 20 years because of a mistake." "Mistake?" I cut in, smiling. "Ashley, mistakes are forgetting an anniversary. Mistakes are leaving the stove on. You didn't make a mistake. You made a choice. Over and over. And now, I get to make mine." She froze, chest heaving. For the first time, I saw real fear. Not the fear of getting caught, but the fear of realizing she was never in control to begin with. After that, she stopped pretending. The charm died. The smiles vanished. She avoided me, scuttling through the house like a shadow. Chase had gone quiet too, probably too busy fighting custody battles with his wife to keep Ashley entertained. She was alone now, utterly alone, and I let her sit in that isolation, stewing in it, until it hollowed her out. Because the cruelest revenge isn't in taking everything away at once. It's in letting someone watch everything slip through their fingers, slowly, painfully, while knowing you could stop it but choose not to. One night, as I closed the oak box, I whispered to myself, almost there. Because revenge is a dish best served cold. And this one was still chilling. Ashley had stopped being a wife and turned into a ghost that haunted my house. No dinners, no laughter, just pacing, muttering phone calls, and long stares into mirrors where even she couldn't recognize herself anymore. That's when I decided the stage was ready for the public act. See, private suffering wasn't enough. She lived on attention, on her image. To dismantle her, I had to pull the rug out in front of an audience. The perfect chance came with the annual Ridge Hill Gala. She loved that event. Expensive dresses, champagne, endless Instagram photos under chandeliers. She'd gone every year, parading me around like some accessory husband. This time, I told her flat out, we're going. She hesitated, mascara wand trembling in her hand. Do we have to? Oh yes, I smiled. We have to. That night, she wore red, always her power color. But it didn't hide the shadows under her eyes. The brittle smile, she pasted on like tape. She tried to act like old Ashley, chatting with acquaintances, tossing her hair, laughing too loudly. Then came the auction. Guests gathered around the projector as items scrolled. Vacation packages, wine tastings, spa retreats. And then, slide 23. The projector lit up with photos. Not wine, not art. Ashley, her, and Chase at the birthstone. Screenshots of messages. Receipts. Dates. Gasps rippled through the room like gunfire. Whispers followed. Ashley froze, color draining from her face. Someone muttered, "Isn't that her colleague?" Another, "And her husband's right there." I stood calmly beside her, hands folded behind my back. She turned to me, lips trembling. "Logan, what did you?" I leaned down, whispered so only she could hear. "Checkmate." The auctioneer fumbled, the slide switched, but the damage was done. Phones were already out. Her reputation, the thing she worshipped, was bleeding out in real time. We left in silence. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just stared ahead, hollow. I didn't need to gloat. The world was already doing it for me. After the gala, Ashley's collapse went from slow erosion to landslide. Her boss called the next morning. "Effective immediately, we're terminating your contract. Your behavior has compromised the firm's reputation." She tried calling Celeste, straight to voicemail. Tried her mother, short, clipped responses. Instagram. Comments flooded with snake emojis and whispers of homewrecker. She sat at the kitchen table for hours, staring at nothing, hair unwashed, nails chipped. "Logan," she whispered once, "how could you do this to me?" I looked up from my coffee. "You did this to yourself." I just turned on the lights. She shook her head slowly, tears pooling. "I loved you once." I smiled sadly. "You loved the version of me that made you look good, not the man. And when someone stops loving the mask comes off." That night, she packed a suitcase. I watched her drag it down the hall. "Where will you go?" I asked. She didn't answer, just slammed the door behind her. The house was quiet again, peaceful, but I wasn't finished. Not yet. Because the cruelest revenge wasn't sending her away. It was making sure wherever she landed, the ground was already salted. Ashley moved in with Chase. Of course she did. Birds of a feather, after all. But here's the thing. Chase had already been gutted. Divorced, broke, reputation shot. His wife had cleaned him out, and he was clinging to Ashley like a drowning man clutching driftwood. They thought they'd start fresh. New apartment, new chapter. Except their landlord got a packet in the mail. Photos, screenshots, proof that these two loved turning homes into circus tents. Lease revoked. They tried another place, same thing. Another anonymous letter. Another door closed. Meanwhile, I quietly filed for divorce. My lawyer had everything. The oak box delivered neatly, evidence stacked high. Adultery, public humiliation, financial misconduct. Ashley had no ground to stand on. One afternoon, she stormed into my office, eyes wild. "You're ruining me." I leaned back in my chair, hands folded. "Ashley, you ruined yourself. I'm just the archivist." She slammed her fists on the desk. What do you want from me? I leaned forward, voice steady. Nothing. That's the point. You mean nothing to me now. And that's what kills you. She stared, trembling, before stumbling back out the door. Here's where you expect me to say I left her, moved on, found someone new, and lived happily ever after. But that's too neat, too expected. No, my revenge wasn't in walking away. It was in leaving her alive inside the ruins she built. See, Ashley thought I'd blow up, scream, maybe even hit rock bottom while she ran off into the sunset with Chase. She thought she'd win because she'd hurt me more. But she never understood. I don't play for pain. I play for permanence. The divorce was finalized in record time. I kept the house, the accounts, even the car she used to flaunt. She got nothing but debts and a man who was already drowning. And then came the final move. I mailed her a small package. Inside was the oak box, empty now. Just a note. You were the queen once. But you forgot. The king survives the game. She never responded. Word got around, though. Chase left town within months, tail between his legs. Ashley drifted from couch to couch, friends too wary to let her stay long. The glamorous realtor queen of Ridge Hill was now a whisper, a cautionary tale. And me? I didn't rage, didn't cry, didn't beg. I lived. Because sometimes the cruelest revenge isn't fire or fury. It's silence. It's survival. It's watching the person who betrayed you crumble, not because you struck them down, but because you simply refused to hold them up anymore. Unexpected enough? Maybe not for you. But for Ashley, it was the ending she never saw coming.